Hey everyone, this is a replay from APOC, and if you already seen the replay from Wednesday of myself in the Leningrad, this is a replay of the same game from a different perspective in the Fiji. And with all this talk of scenarios players breaking the economy, I figure we could delve into this topic a little bit. And obviously one of the first things is one person has claimed that first being able to learn, and after learning how the progression of the battle goes, it's then very easy to repeat and continuously do it. But it's not necessarily always the case, and I posted this on the forum on the barrier to entry. There were 4 things I mentioned. All players need to have expert knowledge of the scenarios and be very experienced on what to do. That's first. That's 2 things actually. You can't just have a general idea of what's going to happen. Anyone can pick that up, but you need to be able to predict pathing, speed, where to fire. Like for example, the Iron Duke, which I am torping in the Leningrad. The pathing and speed of the ship has varied over the years and the different patches, and you can't just use the same torpedo line that you did before, say at the beginning of 2019, as that would enable you to get torpedo hits. So not only do you need to have a general idea of what's going on in the scenario, but you also need to be able to adapt to the continuous changes. That requires the second part. You need to be very experienced so you can reliably keep up with all the changes going on. Next, you also need a solid strategy to consistently get a 5-star result that you want. And if you deviate from the strategy, which there was a occurrence here, things can start to go bad and spiral out of control, which you will see later if you haven't seen the Leningrad replay from Wednesday this week. And then third thing, this is one thing that a lot of players mentioned, you need to have a consistent large supply of camouflages, signals, and premium time to really boost your earnings when you do run a game such as this. And if you don't have large stock of these to consistently use, you're not going to be capable of getting all the free XP farming that everyone claims scenarios players do. And even if you have all these 3 things, there's still one problem. If you're just the only one and you only have 1 or 2 other friends, well, you need a minimum division of 4, and you need to have all 4 people, if you only have 4, online at the same time to do this. So the last issue you have is you need to have a large enough pool of said knowledgeable and experienced players to continuously run this over a longer span of time rather than just once or twice a night. Those are the 4 barriers of entry to doing what they claim is a simple free XP farm for players in scenarios. there are a lot of factors and barriers to this, which I think a lot of people do not understand. And then you'll see here, in not too long, about going off strategy. Here, this game, there's also a deviation from the general, and you'll see in a moment. But let's talk about the Fiji. You saw earlier, APOC was sitting in smoke, right in a perfect spot to get broadside shots on the third wave cruisers, and that's the general strat that you want to be following for a smoke ship. So Fiji, Belfast, all work really well going that strategy if you're not going for transports. Now the first deviation from the general strat is here. After sinking the Missouri, I'll go up to take on the Lexington, which gives the most flexibility as the Leningrad can flex back very easily. But APOC said, hey, I'll do Lexington. He obviously very skilled, and he's the one who actually wanted to try a 4-ship Narai. I have confidence in him getting it done, and he had a reason for it, as he wanted to go into the F10 square, as he was thinking that's the optimal place for a Fiji to be. So I was like, alright, go ahead. I'll stick around and help the battleship. As usually it's the other way around, the cruiser is staying near the battleship. Now this deviation from the normal strat really isn't that big a deal. It doesn't change too much, and possibly could be better depending on the player's skill level. But the real problem you will see soon is what happens with the battleship. Now you see on the minimap, the Synop is actually getting really close to the entrance. And if you compare the positions of the Fiji here and the Belfast, what the general strat is to stay back away from the entrance in case of ships approaching it. And in this case, you have the two destroyers right next to the entrance and can fire torps into the battleship easily. So the battleship can easily take unnecessary damage, which I'm pretty sure D-Scale did, seeing as how he's almost half dead already. And then on top of that, the battleship is pushing in too quickly, as nobody else is quite ready to go in with the battleship. Myself and the Leningrad, I'm on pretty low health. I need to go heal. And the Belfast, the transport killer, is nowhere near the south entrance to the bay. And 8 o'clock here in the Fiji is just still getting into position. He's almost there, but not quite. And so what happens is the battleship starts taking too much damage as it pushes in and gets sunk way too quickly for our purposes for doing this. See, now here, APOC in the Fiji just got into position that he wanted, and probably what he had in mind when he requested that, hey, he'll take on the aircraft carrier. And you can see Synop's gonna go down with focus fire and I'm still trying to catch up. I didn't even get a chance to fully heal, as you notice. Normally, I would ideally want to fully heal myself, but with the battleship gone, there's no one else to take focus fire and tank, so everyone's gotta just go in as fast as they can and take attention away from shots at the transports. And that's the second deviation that I was talking about. And this one actually causes real issues with the battleship gone. So not only do you need to have passed the barriers to entry, you really need to be following the strat you've already created pretty consistently. Otherwise, things can start going south really quickly. And here you'll see me charging in the Leningrad to draw fire away from the transports to make sure we keep those stars. And then you'll see one thing to note: everyone's on pretty low health. APOC is under half. I'm taking fire and falling. Brooklyn is pretty low as well. So it's a scramble to get these ships sunk and keep their attention. Now, luckily, as you may have noticed on the previous replay, if you watched it, all the Liberty ships, all the Allied transports, have gone to their designated spots. They're not going off script, which is what they stated they would do. So that star was fine. Everything made it inside the base. And down goes me after drawing fire. Now, with 2 transports lost, we need to make sure we keep 1400 landed. So here, you'll see the Belfast is moving. Brooklyn is drawing fire to make sure we get our 1400 troops landed. So one thing to note, when things go off strat, you also need to be able to adapt to the situation, which is what we are doing best we can here. And then we get pretty lucky here, as APOC, being the last ship in our div alive, starts drawing fire. And it would be actually very easy for him to fall, especially there, if the Colorado hadn't simply just got a few overpens. He could have been sunk and we would have lost. But we got lucky there, and he got his next smoke cover off. So we finished this game with a 5-star win, but as you saw, it could have easily been a loss. And due to the unfortunate circumstances that happened, he got an amazing game. As you can tell, he's at 427,000 damage already. And you can see the Colorado still had over 20,000. So he's going to end the game with something like 450,000 damage. And it's not too long before the Colorado gets sunk after it gets on the other side of the rock. It's a shame though that he only got 1600 base XP because of the nerfed PTS stats. Hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching and see you next time.